Excellent connection. Oh, there we go. I think we're good. Can you hear me? Can you bring up the volume? Good. Can you hear me? Can you bring up the volume? We got it. Okay, let's give it a test. Let's give it a test here. Good. Can you hear me? Can you bring up the volume? We got it. Okay, let's give it a test. Wow, that's quite a delay. Let's give it a test here. Good. Can you hear me? Can you bring up the volume? We got it. Okay, let's give it a test. Wow, that's quite a delay. Okay, I guess we're good. Question, is there anybody in here?
There were a couple of people waiting. I saw somewhere it said that.
Where did this come from? Let's go back to our chit chat. There's nobody now, I don't think. What is this? Stream Elements bot running. That's top chat. Let's go to live chat. Type something in. Can you type something in yours? It's like nobody watching this.
I told it just to, so it wasn't echoing at you.
So that's what it's at so far. Is this my cup or yours?
That's yours.
Okay. There's nobody watching. Well, it's a good practice run. I don't know what the key thing was all about. That was kind of annoying. Hey, hey. We're switching from window to window. Folks, this is, if you're watching this, this is the first time we've done this, so we have no clue. Like, we're getting into this. We're going to get a new camera. We're going to get a whole bunch of good stuff coming, so sorry to put you through this sort of dragging on here. So, but you can get access in there, right?
Yeah.
Did you try texting something?
I don't have the text access.
You do? Can you take a look at it? Excuse us while we figure this crap out. Technical difficulties. Let's see. Yeah, you should be able to text. Maybe not. That's weird. I wonder if they're not allowed to. You said there's 2 people watching?
I saw somewhere when you were switching through things it said 2 people waiting. But I don't know if they're there now or not.
Yeah, but okay, so we got 3 people. You know what? Just bring the volume down and you tell me how many people are. Hey everybody, we're doing a test here. Oh my gosh, 1 person actually showed up. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Lowly CG. Every time I see you, I look for this janky microphone. Janky, this thing? Is that what you're talking about? No.
My battery's going, so I'm gonna have to
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, we're really kind of getting used to the setting up this OBS thing because we've never done it before. So we're trying to create different cool things to do. So one of the things we're going to do is there's a couple. First off, we're getting an adapter in the mail. We're waiting for the Amazon person to show up, but we have an adapter to use our Blackmagic 4K as a viewer screen. We're going to have another camera that goes to the kitchen back there in case we do some cooking. So cooking and comping. Everything starts with a plate. And then we're going to do over the shoulder with guests that come in. It's going to be a bit of a pain in the neck setting this up because we're going to be kind of like streaming in guests that are speaking at the same time. We got to put them in one of these, these little windows here. And from there we can kind of, have them demo or even take over our computer or we record their screen. So it's going to be really wackadoodle when we get it going. And the other thing we're going to do is called Fresh Eyes, where we look at a really bad or just maybe some recent trailer on YouTube and we start critiquing the VFX. So hopefully that will be the case. We have no idea how many people are actually on right now. I'm wondering if it even tells us participants. Oh, there's only one. Oh my gosh. So, hold on a second. Evan might want to delete these old ones. Some people. What?
We can cross that bridge. We can cross
He
that
says
bridge.
there's multiple. Hold on a second. Oh, what the heck is this? 5 watching another stream which is not running. That's great. I think it's running. Oh, that's right. He did a. Hold on, folks. We're gonna get the show started here in a minute. I just wanna. What's he talking about? Oh, is this another? Okay, so yeah, okay. There's 6 people viewing right now. I think. So anyway, of course I get it. YouTube. So this is why we call this the pilot episode, because the pilot episode is like, rough running. I'd hate to make this episode 1 because I have no idea what we're doing. So again, we're gonna get a new video camera. We have Jack London with us in the loft somewhere, and we're working with this one janky microphone. So Jack's gonna scream and be able to talk to you guys as far as like, yeah. So FYI on that one. So I hope everybody's good. Can someone type in the chat really quick? I just want to see if somebody's actually watching. If you guys can hear me. I think there's a delay by the time I said put something in the chat. I got to find out the delay settings on here. But we've never done a legit. We've been doing these half-rendered live streams where we're like going to get raw milk and stuff. So we don't know what we're doing. But anyway, so it looks like we got about 8 people watching, which is cool. And we're gonna get started. The joke man. Hey, okay, cool. All right, we got somebody watching now.
We do have people.
Yeah, but it's not. It's funny. It's not. It's not updating up here. See that? Off topic. I wonder if big studios utilize CAD file creator for their work. Right now, as freelancer, I'm struggling with converting PyTorch models to Torch scripts for image segments and so on. Jack.
Not my area of expertise.
Yeah, we're stupid. You don't want to listen to us. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and yeah, as you can see, I'm just realizing now, like from what I can tell, even though people are in the live chat pushing, the live chat's not updating in our window here. So that's kind of sucks. We're trying to get this connection between YouTube. Yeah, there's something. Man, this kind of sucks. So anyway, I can see. Let's see how many people are watching now.
Yeah, Evan says from the computer. Yeah, my phone didn't work
Wait
either.
a minute. Yeah, so we got. Did everybody leave? I don't even know. What the heck is going on here? We had 8 people and then they all left, I guess. Oh, now there's 12. Oh, there's 12 views. I'm sorry, not 12 views. All right.
Oh, just go.
Yeah, Evan, if you're watching, we had a. It gave us an error message that said YouTube cannot get your stream or something, and we Google searched it and it was like you had to type in the key or something. So there's some sort of disconnect between the chat box, almost like YouTube is running off of just a live stream link, but it's just receiving, it's not sending information over to OBS, I think. I think that's what it is. So in case you're watching. So anyway, we might as well start this demonstration. I don't know who's watching. It's hard to tell at this point if anybody's watching. Let's see. Okay, 6. I think it said 6 watching. Okay, cool. All right, folks. Now, again, forgive us. We're gonna have this all fixed next time. We're gonna have new cameras, so we're gonna have a whole bunch of sections and so forth. We're gonna have a whole bunch of sections that we're gonna go through in here, but this is the kind of windows we'll do. So we'll have like cool. We're gonna have better graphics design. Everybody's whining about our graphics design, and it sucks. And I'm not a graphics designer, so. But again, we have this sort of like chit chat window, which should update next time. But I can see the YouTube chat. It's not updating on here though, so I can see what you guys are typing off on the side, which is really weird. So um, again, we'll have this fixed next time. So we're going to do a demo today on a couple of things, very simple things that we're going to get started on. A couple of my students, not students, but as a TA, can't technically call them my students because I'm a teacher's assistant, a lowly teacher's assistant. And that is, they've been going through Alex Hanneman's videos, and they've been kind of like checking out like different ways to work and so forth. And in one of his tutorials, which I purchased but I haven't got through yet, with this like car tutorial, he covered the Pia and Matte tool, and we've been using this in production on an undisclosed project. We can't discuss it obviously, but it's been very very helpful in color correcting CG type stuff based on spheres and cubes, and it's using the position pass. So if you guys go position pass and the normals pass, but if you go on Nukipedia, check out PN Matte, which is really cool. You guys should definitely check that out because it is just the bee's knees as you're about to see. So the reason why we brought this up is we thought about the reality that if you had multiple renders of some static non-moving object in a 3D application, okay, and you were relighting it a little bit, doing some color correction work for all the shots inside of Nuke, but you had to allocate that color correction from different angles of the object to other shots without having everybody to do their own color correction work, and you can kind of do a base color correction of the object, three-dimensional color correction. Now, some of you are already familiar with this, with obviously using position pass and stuff like that, but usually when you do like a color correction work, right, you're going to be using like, if I take a grade here on this, and I can, go like this, right, and I'll go ahead and do unpremult by RGBA, and okay, like now I'm color correcting this area, right? So obviously this is a matte, and it will depend on the animation of the scene for the matte. It's a two-dimensional kind of projection onto a three-dimensional render for color correction. But what if you wanted to port this information over to some other, tool set, or another shot? Like, so you have the same shot of this, we'll call it the Qbert interface or whatever, and you wanted to just have the top of this Qbert thing color corrected to somebody else's shot. Well, obviously, if their angle of this is like looking behind this Qbert thing, they're going to have to change their roto, over here or something, or whatever, So obviously, you can also go back to the original render inside the whatever you're using, Maya or Houdini or Blender, and actually make this area darker with the lights inside of the 3D program. But of course, a lot of us, we do tweakage of lighting in post, blacks match, stuff like that. So what if you wanted to be able to port? What if you wanted to port all this over into like a position-based color correction that you can pretty much give to you can copy paste the nodes into somebody else's script that has their individual different angle of the static object. The important thing is the object cannot move because every point in space is the three-dimensional position with the position pass. So, oh, we got AP Matte over here. See, there's always something better. So obviously if you have the Nuke Survival Toolkit, we have AP Matte. Let's see if this is better. Oh, yep, and he's already got it made. Look at this. See? So some of you guys are pros and you're already aware of what the heck's going on. You're like, they made a better tool. This looks very similar to the same thing. Again, I got to check it out. I really want to do a whole boring tutorial on normal and position pass color correction. In this case, he's got rounded box, linear radius. So we'll have to, and this is the beauty of streaming. We get feedback from you guys. Like, oh, what are you using that old tool for? Use this. I'm just trying to continue to show information, but also we have this interactivity. We have this sort of like, nonchalant, no rush type of thing where we can get feedback, talk, play around. And this is the kind of water cooler conversation you have when you're working in production, usually at a studio, not in the midst of a pandemic, obviously, and you're actually physically at a studio. And you can talk to people and they show you stuff. This is part of your learning process. But we're trying to do it virtually, where we have not just us, low-end compositors here, but we would have high-end compositors visiting and being within here and showing us cool tips and trips and saying, like, for instance, exactly like, hey, try out Adrian Poyot's matte. It's got more options. But for this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and show you PN matte, so you guys can kind of take a look at this. And again, we'll go over to AP matte and we'll figure it out. It's probably the same kind of setup. Why don't we go ahead and ask Lowly? Is it Lowly CG? What was it that just said that? Lonely CGI. I guess we'll go ahead and ask, like, why would you prefer AP matte over PN matte? We'll go ahead and throw that in the chit chat. And dead space. So anyway. All right. So anyway, maybe some Python later. You mean like us teaching Python? Not sure. Or are you saying because you want to use Python, you use this plugin? I don't know. Anyway, so let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and jump in the demo and keep my eye on the text here. So what do we have in this scene? We just have this Qbert object with a couple lights inside of Maya, and I got the scanline render here. Go ahead and put this to 1 so we have to look at all these things. So I'm rendering this out, but under the shader I've turned out output vectors position and normal, so that when I render this out, which I'm rendering out here, I'm also getting a normal pass and a position pass. Okay, so that's giving me sublex and super white values, values below 0 and above 1 that will be able to drive these tool sets like PN map position. So PN map, you can do color correction without any of these plugins using things like, for instance, if I were to shuffle out, the or position pass, right? And again, here's the position pass. If I kind of hold down Control and sample the values, you can see the furthest value here in the X direction, and this is X, Y, Z corresponding to RGB values. So you can see, if you come over here, you can see the value is like at 9.3 on the, on the X, and over here you have a value of like practically 2. So basically 2 to 9 if you want to kind of do a roughment. And we can go ahead and like grade that, right? So you can do like 2 to 9 for the white point, black point. Right, and now if you kind of take a look at R, G, and B, right, if we go to what we color corrected or intended to color correct, which was blue, right, we have this gradient here. And you can offset that gradient, as you can see here. So again, you can do that. You can gamma, make the gamma adjust to adjust the, remember gamma is sort of like the altering the values between absolute white and absolute black. So creating contrast by bringing it down, less contrast going up. So I have a feeling this text box is gonna be like, "You amateurs, what are you doing?" Try, So again, we appreciate your help. Like I said, I'm sure we're gonna have pros in here kind of saying, "No, no, try this," and that's totally cool. I don't want to hold off to that. But basically, if you kind of look at this, you have different channels, RGB, and you can shuffle just the green out if you want to like keep your brain from exploding. So you can shuffle out the blue channel, which we've been using, to every single connection, including alpha. Right? Blah, 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 blah. Can't stand this new tool here. Okay. So now you have this as something you could use for a mask, from which you can hit grade, right? Put it over here. Okay. And let's go ahead, and now we can grade this down. So we take multiply, bring it down, whatever, right? So again, the good news about this is if we take this camera, we have another camera here, for instance. Let's go ahead and put this into our 3D scene here. And I think I need to get this in there too. So go to our 3D scene here. And if we have a secondary camera here, right here, where if I kind of just use the wonky tools inside this program, again, I could go look above like that or whatever, and put it over here, and we'll just do a quick rotate around. Right, so we're from a different angle from looking at this. Right, so I go look at the actual camera 2 and lock to it. I can go ahead and like move it up a little bit. Right, so we got a different render possibly here. Right, so if I just kind of if I have a different if I kind of like swap out the camera angle and go to that grade, you can see that the color grade is still working from this angle, which is kind of cool. So I guess we could ask people in production who are probably got more experience than us that are in the chat room. Have you guys ever used these sort of techniques? I know we're going to get into PNMAT and Adrian's plugin, but have you found this a kind of a good way of kind of like allocating a base color correction to an object across all artists before they, of course, each shot's slightly different, but I wonder if there's a tool so you can create a camera from current 3D viewpoint anew. Cause there's probably is. Um, you are awesome. Keep on. All right, Brad. Cool. So if you don't mind asking, where do you guys work? Brad and Lowly CGI. Where do you guys? Since there's only like 6 of us in here. How many people are in here now? There's the diehard 6. Okay. Yeah. Oh, we got 11 watching now. Oh my gosh.
They're multiplying.
They're multiplying. Got to get Jack in the shot, kind of. There we go. Jack's here. He's just
I'm
off to
here.
the. Like I said, we're gonna get a better camera. We're gonna have a
More
segment.
microphones.
We're gonna have another. We're gonna have like cameras everywhere. We were thinking about putting a camera in the bathroom. You can watch somebody go to the bathroom. Just gross you out. Put like pixelation at the bottom. We have like up at the top screen. You have like some guy taking a crap in the bathroom. I know it's kind of gross, but we're just goofing around. Like we wanted to explore the different realities of my cheap loft here. It's a nice little loft actually. It's made of brick. It's an old building. It has a nice stylistic look to it. Um, but yeah, only fans VFX. Yeah, no kidding.
There we go.
But we thought it'd be cool if we can do cooking and comping. So we're gonna put that kitchen back there. We're gonna put like a iPhone or something, or even a camera back there, so you can look down at the, like a cooking show, and we can take a break. So we're not always just staring at a screen. And we have another camera set up of the kitchen as a wide, and then we'll have a camera here. So thankfully we're getting into this OBS. It's very easy to switch between cameras. And we'll be able to cook up some meals, get up, take a breather. We even have one where we use an iPhone on a gimbal and go outside of this place and go maybe walk around or chill out. I think it'd be different. I think it'd be kind of fun. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. So anyway, so you guys can see how if you have multiple cameras, is if you had multiple renders from your lighter or whatever, that you can apply a whole bunch of these grade options to do the work. Okay, so now we did this basic grade work. I'll go ahead and swap out this camera. So we're back to this angle, right? So I can take PN matte, for instance, right, and come in here, and we still, down the pipeline, we still have the normal and the position pass, right? And the really cool about this, again, this was demo. I didn't know anything about this until it was demonstrated. A couple of my students are really getting into Alex. We have students at this college that I TA at, and they're really cool because they're basically, they're hungry. There's some really good level-headed students here, and they're doing a great job. And they're like, where would you go? And my recommendation is always for the intro stuff, you can go to my channel, get the free stuff, watch it. But if you want to get into the advanced stuff, you need to get somebody that's on the razor's edge of the industry. And I always recommend Alex's website to go into the intro classes. And at this point, they probably know more than me. But I mean, Alex demonstrated in the one tutorial he has where he's got like a car on the side of a hill, the PN mat, which we're going to get into. Lowly CGI says Gizmo is just easy to use with predefined shapes, circle, cube, etc. Are you referring to AP Mats tool, or are you talking about PN?
Making a gizmo.
Do you want to show deep compositing? Yeah, we're going to eventually show deep compositing. I'm super excited about that. There's just going to be so much fun we're going to do, and we're not. This is not going to be this cheesy camera that we have right now. You know what I mean? It's pretty. It's pretty. Kind of. We just threw this together, and thankfully Evan, who's watching right now, was nice enough to introduce us to the world of streaming because we've never done it before. Matte shape. Yeah, I noticed the knobs in here are different than AP. So here's the two we're going to demo here. So we got AP matte. AP matte has many more shapes. PN matte only has sphere and cube, but this has actually cusp box, which actually is a smooth box, kind of like how these boxes are shaped. Linear ramp. Oh man, now you got me going. See, this is great because we get feedback from you guys, and it's like wrong tool, use this. It's a lot better. So yeah, I mean everything that Adrian pushes out is amazing. Like anything with the AP in front of it, you got some gold tools there. So and he always seems to kind of find things that need the final upgrade, whether it be despilled or whatever, and put the final, basically trying to get everything in one. Is this the point 2D keyer? Is this the point 2D keyer? No, we're showing how to color grade, create masks basically in 3D, so that you can kind of copy paste this. If somebody has another rendered angle of the same spaceship or whatever, and say you have a scene, maybe it's Mandalorian or something, and it's just a ship sitting there, and the ship never moves from its coordinates in 3D space in the 3D program that you render from, whether it be Houdini or Maya, right? Because it's not moving, it's not taking on world space. Its values in the point cloud are not changing. Like I said, you can, if I click on here and I go to the position pass, okay, I can click these values. You can see there's color information here, but the values are very high, and you can see X, Y, Z represents red, green, blue. So in the 3D app, okay, this point in world space was at five whatever it is in my it's centimeters, 5 centimeters, in the X, Y, and Z. Okay. Now if you render in Blender, Z is up, so I think it is. Um, but again, you can see what that is. So what that means is you mapped out the three-dimensional positions of everything. Hence, that doesn't change if we render from another camera. Okay. So that means we can use this to color correct. Now the problem with this technique I showed you is we're, in a way, not really, if you combine mattes you can get away with it, but in a way you're kind of limited to, if we kind of take a look at the grading of this, my brain's not working, there we go. It's limited to the axes, the 90-degree axes of X, Y, and Z, right? So, I can color correct up and down, and you can do it. You can use this very easily without having to jump to these tools, but these tools are really cool. So what these mats allow are something a little bit more fun. So if you go to PN Mat, we can go ahead and play around with this. So the first thing, we'll make a fresh PN mat so we can kind of see what you have to do. Now it's important that downstream, as you can see, you're getting normal and position pass information coming in. So that has to be in the downstream. So if you go ahead and click here, you can come here and click here, and you can see it's already red. This is the area that the mask is. If I hit A, you can see the mask is already being created. So this is mask building. So first we're going to do point position and choose the pass, in the stream that's point position pass. And then for vectors, we're going to choose normals. Now, right now the output's set to position, and then you have normal, and then you have the combination of the two, which is position and normal. So right now with position, we're only looking at this here. So if you hold down Control and Alt, you don't want to hit Control because you'll be sampling the color information. But if you hit Control and Alt, when you click on this little dabber, you're now sampling the position coordinates, and a radius sphere is being created in the shot. So now you can have a mask that you can color correct this specific area. And that will obviously change if we swap out the camera to the other shot. See that? So you can see how you can color correct three-dimensionally and kind of copy paste these nodes from one person's script to another, and you have a base color correction for everybody to start out with. obviously when you're doing color correction, there's a back and forth process of the lighter to say, hey, bring up the edge light on this. It doesn't match up with this. But at the end of the day, the compositor's putting the final touches on this. And this is just something you can kind of think of in the form of pipeline. So back to this, if I'm hitting Control and Alt, I can make a sphere. I can change the radius of the sphere. There's also an option of sphere and cube. Now with Adrian's tool, you get both really. So you can do the cube. So you've got a three-dimensional cube sitting there. You can also rotate that cube in the X. Right? You can almost feel like there's like a ghost cube in there somewhere. So we can kind of twist it this way. Right? And then I can go back to the dabber, holding Control and Alt, and kind of put that there. And then I can take the radius fall off, right? And have a nice fall off on this. So this is great because it's lighting from position. Now, what if you want to have it where you want this area right here? Okay, we'll go ahead and increase the radius. But I only want to light the top portion, as if like a spaceship is above this and it's beaming light. I mean, obviously it's not going to have light on the side, but only objects that are perpendicular to the light coming down. That's where you can introduce the normal. So first off, we're going to switch over to just normal matting now, and all this data is not being figured out. This is what's being used. So I can click on the dabber here. Now it's based on normal position. So that's really cool if you want to have lighting coming from a specific direction but not on the sides. So you can see how we transition back and forth. And then you have the threshold as far as what you want, and then the fall off, which is kind of cool. The beauty with the output is you can put them together at once. So now we have two from which I can click here and sample. Say if I want to do, like I said before, just the top. And now I'm sampling this. So now we have a mask that is only grabbing the top color. And with that kind of done, I could add another grade. Obviously, it's probably smart to create these mats from the original here information. And then you can come over here, hit mask. Now we can color grade this to give it a little bit of a reddish color right there, right? And like I said before, if we swap over another camera or another render, 3D render with all its passes, that color correction information will basically follow through. So it's really cool because it doesn't require masks. Like I said before, if I came in here and I was trying to build a template for 5 different artists that obviously think differently and light differently, but I want to get a base color correction done for them. If I did a color grade like this, blurred it obviously, right? And I said, all right, I want the top of the, I want the bottom. Let's go ahead and get sloppy here. Don't judge me. Anyway, and then I was like, all right, blah, 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 gam it down. This is like slop. So. But you're getting the gist. Like, this is not going to translate over to another camera. Well, in that case, it kind of did, but anyway. See what I mean? So really, what I'm talking about here is, again, think of this in the form of like a 3D render that outputs normal and position pass out of Maya or out of, whatchamacallit. The heck did I lose it? Oh, Cam. You can copy paste this to any render and it'll give you their base color correction. So say for instance this is like a machine that's in the shadow and you want this area to have another shadow, right? You can do another PN mask mat here. Let's just go ahead and do a sloppy slop, right? And then I just come over here and I get to choose. I'll start again. You can kind of get yourself not confused by going to position pass. Like again, hold on Control and Alt. Don't hit Control because you're sampling the color of the, the RGB base color. So you want to hit Control and Alt. So you're clicking the pass. And now I'm over here, and maybe I just want to have this be position mat, right? And then I can come over here and change the radius, create the very, very heavy fall off like that. And this is going to be a dark area because it's in the shadow in the shot or something, right? So now I come over here, I take the grade, gain it down like that. Okay, obviously you could adjust black point or something. But again, this is transferring. What did I do with the other camera? Yeah, delete the other camera. Whatever. So you guys, is everybody kind of getting that? Is that cool? I don't know if everybody like left. We got 7 people in the room. Does that kind of help? And do you guys, let's ask the crowd here, do people in the industry, you guys use this a lot, or do you find it to be helpful when you're doing integration of CG and live action? Um, Maybe. This ain't no Hugo's desk, by the way. We're still getting used to this interface stuff, and we'll eventually have this really cool. We'll have music. We'll cut away to footage. We're gonna get better at OBS. We've never done this before, FYI.
This is the shakedown cruise.
Yeah, this is. So, if anybody in text, anybody awake? No. All right. There must be one heck of a delay, man. It must be like 5 minutes or something. So I might have to go into the YouTube settings and find out. I know that Hugo on Hugo's desk was always he didn't like broadcasting through uh, YouTube, so he preferred to use Twitch. So there might be a reason for that. I might contact him and find out, like, okay, what's going on? Like, why? I don't really care. I don't really want to go to Twitch. I don't need another thing in my life to, like, oh, I gotta do this. I just, anyway, blah, blah, blah. So that's just a quick demo of some cool stuff that you can do as far as color grading. And this comes in handy when you're doing integration in CG. Now, AP Matte, let's go ahead. I've never used this before. I've seen it. So we have a position input. We have an image input. So let's plug in image. Let's see what this baby's got. So position from the P, or we can just get it here, I guess. Position pass. And then, oh wait, no. Oh, did I do that wrong? Image is coming in from P, or maybe RGBA?
Image would be RGB.
It's deep comp light, you might say. It's deep comp light. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know. Is it more of a headache with deep, or is it like deep, like, where I'm in the pros land, you know? So IMG, I'm assuming image. P is optional.
Try plugging the P into.
What do I have to do? Just like, huh? Alright. So that's position. Okay, there we go. And we have a shape. And somewhere in there. And I guess we're dabbing color, maybe? Oh, look at that. We're kind of back to the same layout there. All right, so now we have a radius. We have the center we're dabbing. Use axis. What is this all about? I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, we have fall off. We have hardness. That's interesting. And we have a mix too. That's cool. And then, oh, we got, besides the sphere, we have a cusp box, which is kind of cool. We have a radius, or what is this? A radial ramp. So it's sort of like the fall off is very heavy at the beginning, and you kind of, that's interesting. That is interesting. Okay, so you got some variations in the gradient, and then a plane. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Now I see everybody's like looking at this and going, oh. So that is interesting. Now keep in mind, the object itself cannot physically move. Okay, as far as its position points and so forth. So if you have this object moving up and down, left and right, I think you could still do it to a certain degree, because you're kind of keeping this in place, right? So if this object moved up and down, the value of this is still a world space position. So even though this stuff is moving up and down, left and right, whatever, you're kind of creating three-dimensional pieces in the air in different places, and wherever that thing happens to fall into it. So it can be good too if something is going into shadow across three different angled shots, right? If a creature's walking into a room and it goes into a shadow area, and you film three different takes of three different angles along the cut of three in sequential order, you could have something like this as it kind of goes into shadow. And this can be ported over, and the fall off is correct across all three shots, and there's no discontinuity if you have three different artists who obviously paint differently as far as color correction and all that. We're still holding strong at 7 people here. All right. Now, yeah, this is really cool. I'm so glad you showed this to us. Really appreciate it. And then you can mirror it, I guess. And then you can invert it. That's cool. Preview in 3D space. What? What is this? So can I go to 3D space or something? Or, uh-oh. I'm crashing. What the heck is this? My computer's gonna crash. What the? Am
That's
I?
actually quite interesting.
That's cool. Would you look at that? So you have a plane that you can move up and down. Yeah, there's just so many fun things inside the Nuke Survival Toolkit where I'm just like, ah. You possibly do just add translation to the pivot value using expressions that are tied to the translation rotation. Yep, you can do that. Thank you, Evan Farrow, who's now on the road. I think he's. Are you Evan? Are you heading back to the specific location we discussed earlier? Now, is this just using position, or does this actually involve using? This doesn't use normals though, right?
Evidently, yeah.
So, so basically, if we want to use the normal map positioning tool, we could use PN right? So APMat doesn't do that. So there's, kind of a plus and a minus, I guess. So I think for Adrian, if he can get us involved in getting both normals and whatchamacallit going, I think we'd be good to go, which would be kind of cool. Um, but anyway, okay, so that's pretty much it for the demo for that. I was going to get kind of show you guys some cool stuff in regards to get out of this 3D mode because I'm about to. It's gonna crash. I just got a brand new computer. Took forever. It the motherboard was bad. I had to get a new motherboard. We had to take that thermal paste off on the expensive chip carefully and throw in another one. Then we had to get another water coolant, and then we were having problems with the DDR5 memory, DDR5 not working. So we had to like get it up to a speed where it didn't like go into a memory boot or boot loop. So it was a bit of a nightmare. So anyway, so with that said, let's go ahead. I just wanted to go ahead and show you guys a little bit of, and let's get a general questionnaire on anybody that's still listening in the chat here. Optical flares by Video Copilot. Has anybody played around with this thing? Obviously, we know it from the J.J. Abrams lens flare collection. But do you guys use any other type of flares? I know there's Flare Superstar. There's like a flare creator thing that's inside of the Nuke Survival Toolkit. What do you industry pros use as far as the optical flares? Do you create your own flares, or do you go with one of these pre-made optical flares for ease? I know optical flares is a big ILM thing because you constantly see it. I gripe a lot about overusing common tools, hence creating a pattern of visual effects in movies. We just discussed that on the trailer for Beetle Boy or whatever was the name of that movie, Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle.
Um, and yeah, it was interesting how just different ways, like whether it be the wispy smoke of Houdini or whatever, that kind of gives you that common look of a visual effects. It's almost like a magician with 7 pieces of tools for their arsenal. There's 7 tricks, and you keep seeing the same pattern, the tricks, and you go, I think I've seen that before. And how can we break that up without taking away from the time, the heavy time-consuming process of, getting things done in a hurry? But obviously, it's the balance between a pattern of visual effects versus efficiency and time to get things done, to just get the rough told story out of the way and not so worry about these fine details. It might be the economy, the way that I'm hearing words about people walking out of visual effects studios because they're upset with their working conditions, and maybe it's just the tight budgets, all that stuff coming down, that it doesn't matter anymore as far as worrying about a specific style of CG that doesn't have a commonality. It's just a matter of getting the job done and getting out the door. So I don't know. I'm still waiting for feedback here. I know everyone's asleep on the chat. So anybody out there? Oh, I think. How about we do a general phrase? You guys want to like kind of tell me who you are and where you work, or maybe the level at which you're working. If you're afraid to tell me what VFX studio you're working at, everybody's like terrified to lose their work, so they don't want to say anything. Jackie, anything to say? You've been kind of quiet.
It's shakedown cruise. I'm just sort of cruising along with you.
Can you guys hear him? Should I just stick this microphone here? We're gonna get better microphones, like I said. All right, so let's jump into optical flares here if we can. So here's optical flares. Now this plugin costs $200. Now there's the After Effects version of this that's like really cheap. We use video code on Star Trek with Abrams. Oh, cool. So we got a Brad is a pro. We got Brad. We got a pro in the room here. J.J. Abrams optical flare. What do you guys use now, if you don't mind me asking, Brad? Like, is it are people getting sick and tired of the same flares, or no,
Do you
we'll
have
give it some
something
good
proprietary?
yeah, like a proprietary. Is there something bad about optical flares that most people would be like, I'm kind of tired of this? Yes.
They're using proprietary.
Oh, they're using proprietary. Interesting. I fakey my own all the time. Fake my own all the time. Okay, what tools do you use? Do you use the Flare Superstar, or is there like is this way more advanced type reality where you're trying to mimic whatever lenses they're giving you, obviously from the plate footage or from some kind of new? I'm just trying to figure out how old school is this optical flare. I always see this thing used in like anything by ILM. It feels like ILM. Is it me, gang? Am I like burning my bridge here on ILM? But it just seems like when I ever see ILM stuff, more than ever, it seems when I see stuff from them, specific shows maybe, I see more of that pattern reality of things, where you go, oh, that looks like that effect used in that and that and that. It's like a whereas if you see a movie done by DNEG, such as I always use the word Dune, you look at it. There's never a part in there where you look at the thing and go, man, that feels like a Houdini smoke, or that feels like a lens flare from optical flares. There's some. I hate to be so picky. People kind of like rail me because they're like, hey, you're being too picky about this stuff. Who cares? It looks great. Be nice. Say everything's wonderful. And I don't like doing that. I'm not trying to be negative or not constructive, but I just find that when I see a repeat of a style, how much experience do you have? Uh, right now, I chalked up about 30 Netflix, HBO, Apple, Disney TV shows, streaming shows. So we have a whole bunch of amazing shows that are not out yet. We can't discuss that involved a lot of special effects, a lot of 3D integration. We really want to get it on our reels um, as much as possible, but we can't do that until these things come out. And because of the scale and size, they always take forever to finally get released. So, um, so yeah. So it's been an experience. It's a lot. It's a lot of a whole bunch of things, but it's been a fun ride. And I myself am getting into more integration, which is really awesome because you're getting into that finessing process. And to have the rights to get into that level of compositing where you're able to replicate photoreal, situations. It's again awareness of real world reference, but having that talent that you've kind of accrued from working kind of like a whole bunch of jobs, um, you know, uh, starting out and say cleanup and so forth, and moving on to more integration stuff. But it's definitely been a fun ride of moving up. And one thing I didn't realize is this just takes time to get better. You just got to keep working on more and more shows, and it just doesn't end. The learning process never ends. So anyway, since someone's talking, we'll kind of jump into this optical flare here. So this is what I call like the get it quick, get it out of the way J.J. Abrams optical flare type thing. And it allows you to um, throw in a lens flare, so to speak. So I had a gripe with, I think it's probably some relative of, what the heck is that guy's name? Um, Andrew Kramer. Like he's got a brother that runs the place at Video Copilot. And I had a couple gripes about this plugin because, first off, we're paying an additional $100 for the Nuke version of this thing versus the After Effects version. And for what? In the sense that there's certain options like luminance-based lens flaring in After Effects that you can't get inside of this plugin. So you get it'd be cool if you can have a matte of like, you know, like a blob of white or whatever blue, and you know that that little area that may be flashing or glowing can be used as the source for the flare itself, or maybe multiple flares. But you can't really do that. You can do it with a series of specific crazy matting you can do, but in the end of the day, it's a series of very specific, fine-tuned little tiny points that are lens flares, which are great and everything. Horizontal blur and color it. There you go. So anyway, we'll have to have guests come on, Joe. So anyway, you have the center position here. Build a core with some roto. Yeah, yeah. I've been doing just that. I've been kind of using that as a way of kind of making a source. But still, I think there could be a
Sometimes.
little bit easier setups. But kind of going over this plugin, if I hit initial center, it'll look at the resolution of the object of the scene and kind of shove it to the center. So usually you're, camera-wise, the center of your lens is, where these elements, and what is a lens flare but nothing more than the artifacts of light going through multiple pieces of glass on whether anamorphic or spherical lenses and overexposing your camera by a series of stops. So it is an artifact. Back in the day, this would be shameful to have this in your shot. Then it became stylistic back in the 60s or 50s with movies like Easy Rider. They were like, oh, let's put a flare at the sun. This was always considered a no-no, like a bad thing to have in your shots. Then J.J. Abrams took it to a crazy level. Um, so anyway, the beauty of this is I did buy the 2-pack. There's 2 additional packs, so the total value was $250. So I was barking at the guy over at Copilot. I go, why are we paying all this much? And he said the reason being is because Nuke gets new versions and we have to upgrade them and we have to have new maintenance on them or something. So why is the Nuke OFX version more expensive? That's what they told me. Um, but I found that there were certain features. I'm like, man, how come this doesn't have this or that feature? It's really cool. I'm not gonna say anything more than that. So anyway, there's 3D options where you can use 3D lights inside of Maya. There's miscellaneous stuff, but the optical flares, once you get this, and believe me, the installation of this thing sucks. I hated installing this thing. It was a pain in the rear end, and then I was having issues, and they said, "Oh yeah, there's a bug with Nuke 13 or whatever. Doesn't like this plugin." I'm like, "Well, then rewrite your instructions." And this is what drives me nuts about VO Copilot, is they're so dedicated to After Effects lightsaber battles, because that's their bread and butter. They make a lot more money off these enthusiasts trying to do VFX than they do with the professionals trying to use OFX tools. And because of that, so much of their tutorials and concentrations of instructions are really based on After Effects. Andrew Kramer, right? Hey, Andrew Kramer, and he goes in and goes off about all stuff. But you hardly ever see them do Nuke. Now, they did do a Nuke demo, but it was really quick for this plugin, which kind of drove me nuts. So I wanted to do actually some kind of like demonstration of this. So you have like brightness. Bingo, many plugins are for dabblers. Exactly. Okay, so I guess that's us because we're using one right now. Say dabblers. So scale is, I think, have to do with the distance, like how far away it is. Like this is a train coming at you, like "Rah!" J.J. Abrams' train from Super 8. So you got brightness, and you can move this around. You can keyframe this. There's also this really cool thing called animation evolution.
He's being nice.
Yeah, we're gonna change. I'm gonna hit options. This is gonna open up an interface. I don't know if it's gonna show up on here. Oh my gosh, it's not gonna show up. Oh, that sucks. Well, we're gonna have to cut it short because we cannot show you the window to. This OBS is limiting me from actually showing you the window within a window here. But you can choose different flares. So I'll go ahead and create a default flare here and hit OK. Crap. I guess we're going to have to spend another day to demonstrate this because I got to figure out how to get it to work. Use any plugin use any plugin as much as you can. Well, I guess ask Brad. Brad, what are the plugins that you would say like like they're great and everything, but they're not professional enough. Use the client says until the client says back off. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I can at least show you guys the 2D matte occlusion. Now, this is why people like this. You have this matte input, and you can go ahead and put a roto in your shot. This works three-dimensionally as well. So if you create a mask with a feather on it, and you come back to this, you can enable this and use the alpha information. So as this passes into that neutral zone, it goes over and then comes back. So again, if you can take a look at the flare, put this to 2, and boom, 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 and there you go. So you can do that, or you can create a three-dimensional scene. So here in this scene, we have a series of lights, right? Right. If I kind of back the camera away here, see if I can. Yeah, is this stuff in this shot? Yeah. So you can kind of do like this. You got these 3 lights in the shot, right? So what you can do is you can plug this into the scene file like this, and with the optical flares, you can actually, I'll turn that off. You can go to 3D, and you can turn on lights, intensity, all this scale, fun stuff. You can do occlusion, which is cool. And then if we render it now, you can see it's not based. Oh, is it still based on my? What's going on here? Oh, here I got to do source size 3D. So now it doesn't matter, with the exception of the center position. If I have the different lights, so if I go over here, grab the edge light. Okay, this is the light in the scene here, and then I have my fill light. I think I need to look through the camera, maybe? Am I doing this right? Maybe it's camera's got to be in this. Does this thing have to have a camera, or have to plug in a camera? There we go. So there has to be a camera in the actual scene. Now you can see the different color of the lights is not the same lens flare type is in there, right? But you have different options. And then what I always love about this is you guys can't see the options on page. Again, we'll come back to this next stream. But you can come in here and add a nice gunky texture on this thing, and I'll make it kind of exaggerated here. But you can see how I'm just changing this light around like this. This is way overboard, but wherever these lights are at, where the heck is that light at? Somewhere in there. Where's that fucking light at? Somewhere, but you can see how this works. So Brad is the 2 available, easier, nicer to make your own. Are you aware of the new bokeh node? We had until the client says back, the 2 available, easier and nicer to make your own. We did have Alexander Bork on my channel, and he was barking about the new bokeh. I know that I don't know if it was because of response, but the Foundry did a whole video like 2 weeks later where they discussed the bokeh node. But yeah, I don't know. Brad, anything going on in the industry? Since, I don't know who else is working in the industry in here, but how's the industry going? Because we're in Indiana, we don't know what's going on. Oh my gosh, we got 36 people watching. Oh my god, 38. So like I said, for those of you that kind of tuning in late, we're going to have a couple of different episodes of, actually we can jump over to Chit Chat. Hey, look at that. Ignore this this chat down here because it's broke. We're still figuring it out. But anyway, we can see your text coming in from YouTube. There's some disconnect between OBS and YouTube right now. We'll have it fixed next time. We're gonna have an episode where we're gonna do cooking. We're gonna have a couple cameras in the loft. We might even get out of this building and go walk around with a Steadicam iPhone. We are going to have a section called Over the Shoulder, which will be having pros kind of chit chat and share screens in the same way I kind of do the Tool Time and Nuke, but you guys will be able to throw feedback live, which is different. The other thing will be cooking and comping. I'm going to show you some of the really great recipes of some of the food we eat. We're in Amish land, so we get grass-fed, grass-finished beef, raw milk, raw cheese, the best eggs ever. I mean, and the chickens are amazing out here. They're like bread chickens that are great. That's what we did last night. If you guys saw the stream last night. Um, but wow, we went down to like 8 people. I guess everybody just quit. So anyway,
Maybe they're not as into the cooking part.
yeah. So anyway, we're gonna be doing that, and then finally we'll have with a special part of the series called Fresh Eyes, where we're gonna tear apart trailers and get people at different studios upset, where we kind of critically attack people. Yeah, the Amish are awesome out here. The food out here is like incredible. Like if you're in, you don't have a lot of pressure from the government on raw milk out here. You don't get a lot of, you know, you just get really good food out here if you're one of the organic paranoid freaks like we are. At least I am. Uh, so, but yeah, it's been fun. So with that said, does anybody have any questions about what we demoed today um, on the stream? I really don't think they have much more to discuss or chat about. This was just a test run, a pilot, but once we get the ball rolling, finding out why the YouTube problem is giving us issues, we'll be able to kind of work through it. Is there anything you guys would like to see on the show or discuss or any recommendations? Because we're sort of winging this as we kind of go along.
Yeah, I'd like to add on the issue of dabblers versus the pros and plugins and stuff. Is that the dabblers I've generally found, they'll just take the tool, use a little bit, and call it a day. Whereas the professionals are not afraid to use the plugins and the preset tools, but they'll use it as a base and kind of say, well, that looks okay, but I can make it do this and that and the other and do better. And they're not afraid to use it as a start, but they don't use it as the finish. The finish is what you add and embellish to these plugins. Just 2 cents.
Yep, yep. Well, with that said, gang, we're gonna call it short here. So hopefully this will stop streaming. Very well put, Brad. So we'll see you next time. Somebody was asking about the interview coming up with Timberlake, and he's still preparing. He really wants to put together a really good presentation um, of something, so it might take a little bit more time. But his main concern, which was actually a concern for you guys, which is he really wants to give you your best bang for the buck, and so he's taking a little bit more time and creating something that will be worth sharing on the show, which is really considerate and awesome, and we're looking forward to seeing what he has to show. Um, but I want render passes how to find. Jack, where do you find render passes? Okay.
Arnold?
Sorry for, we're such like, we're such sarcastic bums, man. We're gonna, it's like we're starting to become those jaded,
Well, depending on what you're asking
crabby
for, a lot of the render
compositors.
passes will be coming at you from an EXR. They'll be rendered out of a 3D program into different layers of the EXR, and so you use shuffle and extract out the passes from the EXR that's provided, if that's what you're asking. If you're creating the passes in a 3D app like Maya, if you're using Arnold, you create AOVs, and basically that interleaves all those different passes into the EXR, and then the compositor will take the EXR and extract the passes back out and use them as you need to.
So buy a model. There you go.
We ran out of time this time. We will next time.
You could start by my CG compositing series 1.1, what and why. Oh, we got a plug here. Or download my. It could be great if Foundry integrated Nerf into Nuke. Nerf is still ways away, I think. They're still trying to work out all the little artifacts and crap. I know people have gotten really good at getting the filtering to work right. I'm sure it's coming. Everything's coming. It's not stopping. It's just slowing down, speeding up at different times. So AI will take all of our jobs. No, I don't know about that. I guess we can ask, what do you guys think about AI? You think all of the do we have to get artistic quick, or else our jobs are out of line? Or like I was thinking, like all of the remedial tasks will be taken over by AI. I'm starting to see these commercials. What I don't like, the one thing I want to discuss in this channel before we leave, I guess, because I like to complain, is I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but there's all these, like especially Adobe, they put all these commercials out there. Um, Brad says there's zero chance for AI taking over VFX. Um, one more question, sir. GLB format can open in 3D Studio Max. We have to adapt. Yeah, so what I don't like is like all this, and I trash Corridor Digital a lot, honestly. I think I have I don't hate those guys. It's just that I've had a bad experience with anything associated with them. Um, in the sense, like when I was teaching at a school in at Tribeca Flashpoint, um, the last class I taught before I left was a students. We had an influx of VFX students out of nowhere. We're like, where did all these people come from? And VFX was always lowbrow. You know, everybody would go to film school or whatever. But then we got a big influx of students, and they were all lazy, just so. It was I maybe just got a bad batch, but I asked everybody like, why? They were showing me Corridor Digital because for so long I didn't ever knew what it was, and they're like, "Oh, I'm here. We're here because of Corridor Digital. We were inspired by Corridor Digital. We want to be visual effects artists." I had people sleeping in my class, snoring, interrupting, just the most belligerent, irritating people I ever met in my life as a class. Careless, didn't want to do the work. They wanted me to play Corridor Digital videos instead. Like, let's stop talking about this new crap and play some Corridor Digital videos because those are entertaining. And I'm like, I'm teaching a class here, so it was the worst experience in my life. And whatever it is, I walked away. I'm like, whoever Corridor Digital is, I can't stand them. And then, of course, I learned who they were. They do good breakdowns, which are great when they have the professionals come in, you know. But in general, along with Adobe and all these packages, like I just saw a commercial for Adobe, and it was like, I'm a VFX artist, and it was just, and I define my world, and he's clicking buttons and he's making things disappear out of his picture, in the way that you can clean up images, and this whole like sort of like everyone's a VFX artist, whereas film school now everybody's a filmmaker, right? But now it's going to be everybody's a VFX artist. I'm a VFX artist. I click a button and then that cleans the shot up. And I hate that. So,
Yeah, we get a lot of the newbies. You start showing them roto, and it's like they don't. I don't want a roto. I hate roto, and all you can do is look at them and say like, that's just the way it is.
yeah.
You have to. Yeah, if you don't like it, there's other things you can do with your life.
On that note, folks, I'm looking at my phone right now, and we got time to celebrate 20,000 subscribers. We just hit it. So thank you so much. And I wanted to bring this up and address this. I'd rather have 20,000 than 100,000 subscribers because I intentionally wanted to make this channel only nuke, only compositing, only boring and technical, so that we only have professionals on this channel and not lightsaber battle After Effects artists. I hate to call them that, but that's. So I will continue to not care about the YouTube plaque, whether I get it or not. I doubt it in my lifetime. Um, if I had 100,000 subscribers, I would be like kind of ashamed of myself because I would have been like, well, I'm gonna do what every other channel does and just put out a plethora of After Effects tutorials and this and that. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I want to have a channel that's specifically for professionals, that they can commiserate with professionals, build up their careers, their reels, and we strictly teach hardcore stuff. We have pros on that are better than us that'll tell us the latest and greatest. So thank you so much for everybody out there. And I think with that said, I think we're going to probably cut it short.
Thank
And
you all.
yeah, and thank you for 20,000. I continue to not monetize my channel to avoid the 100,000 commercials. I was watching a YouTube channel a couple nights ago, and I told the guy, I'm like, dude, you're only at like, I think he was like 4,000 subscribers, and he had monetized his channel to the max. I guess you can do different levels. And he had a commercial running every 5 seconds. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to watch your stuff, and every 5 seconds a commercial's popping up. So, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Come on, dude."
Thank,
So,
thank
anyway,
you for the compliments too, guys. It's appreciated, especially for shakedown crews like this.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, I hope continue to help you guys out. Um, I noticed there's a big drop off in people on my website downloading stuff. I think it's because they're from other countries that don't have debit cards or something. But I did have to mark up the price to 25 cents per tutorial because I had too many people bogging down the server and they were grabbing everything. And I'm like, hey, okay, it's time to pay the piper so I can, because I pay about 80 bucks a month for keeping the website up. So 25 cents shouldn't be a bad price for anybody. But I need to do that because I'm kind of tired of paying 80 bucks a month for this. I want you
Overtime,
guys to pay for it.
overtime.
So, yeah. So with that said, I hope you guys like it. We'll be back with a better camera, better audio, and hopefully we'll do it, go from there. And again, thank you, Brad. You guys are pros, and in it, you give nice tech talks
Thank
that
you.
are above the bar. Awesome. Thanks, crew, and I guess we'll see you later. We'll